Hey everyone, Damien Dudovic here from the Taduma Network once more, bringing you a 1 vs 1 Dawn of War Soulstorm commentary on the map Fata Morgana. So, just having a look at the current build. So, relatively standard stuff for the Space Marine player Ekim Taftaf. So yeah, just starting with a couple of free Scout Marines and a relatively early Servitor. And as for the Chaos player, pretty standard stuff as well. So we're seeing a barracks building, plasma generator. Haven't seen a plasma generator for the Space Marines though, so we might just get a bit of a diversion there. So we've got Oxy Triple X6, it's a very sexy name there, as the Chaos Space Marines, as you can see. So yeah, he's got a relatively standard opening, Chaos Lord, and yeah, he's got 3 Cultist squads as well. So yeah, we've got Force Commander as the first unit out of the barracks for good old Ekim. Just have a look, and yeah, he's not going with the power plant at all, so chances are we might just be seeing a bit more of an aggressive build by the Space Marine player. We'll just have to see what happens, I guess. And in fact, we might just fast forward, because there's not exactly too much actioning happening at the moment.
Position secure.
So we'll just watch him scurry along like a, I don't know, some sort of a Benny Hill show or something. And there we go, finally might be seeing an engagement by the Chaos Cultists here against the Scout Marines. But at the same time though, we do have a trio of Scout Marines heading off to the Chaos Space Marine place. Sorry, Chaos Space Marines base. And yeah, as you can see, they're actually managing to decap a point. And at the same time, those Cultists are doing a bit of damage to these Scout Marines. If Ekim isn't careful, he might not be able to actually capture this point, but given how quickly these cultists are getting killed off by the Force Commander, it might actually might still be alright. And let's just have a look. I guess so. Force Commander is staying in defense as well against the Scout Marines. And the cultists, what will they do? Okay, they'll try to retreat as well. So unfortunately, no decap there by Chaos for the time being, and yeah, looks like the Space Marine player is slightly ahead at the moment. So, yeah, given that this Chaos Space Marine player hasn't captured the relic either. Interesting. It looks like Ekim is actually going to be doing a little bit more harassment. A bit of a misclick with those Scout Marines. Chaos Lord is certainly a very powerful unit to be able to take these Scout Marines on pretty well, and yeah, as you can see, we've got Space Marines coming out for the Space Marines, and what do we have there? Yep, Chaos Space Marines coming out for the Chaos Space Marine player, strange enough. And what do you know, another decap by the Scout Marine, so Ekim is doing a pretty good job in harassing the Chaos player's base, actually, so, or rather outer, I suppose you could call it the outer base maybe, especially given that this relic is still not being held. Pretty good effort to say the least. And I got a pretty close battle by the between the Chaos Lord and the Force Commander. Chaos Lord having to retreat because his Space Marines were shooting at him. But now we might be seeing a bit more of a interesting. I was thinking we might just be seeing a bit more of an even matchup here. 6 Chaos and just look at the numbers. So by the looks of it though, a pretty good micro by the Space Marine commander. The Chaos player has done pretty good to put his Chaos Lord in his Space Marines, Chaos Space Marine squad, so that he can do a bit of damage as well. And also, you can't target a commander when he's in his own squad as well, except with certain abilities. So an interesting melee here. Hard to tell who's winning, but at the moment, so it looks like the Space Marine commander Ekim is being forced to withdraw. At the same time though, he's finally building his first plasma generator. As for Chaos player, he's got plasma pistols on the way from his armory and frag grenades for his Space Marines, or his Chaos Space Marines actually. So it looks like, yeah, he'll be staying in tier 1 for a bit longer, which might not be such a bad idea actually. He's got, well, he's under attack, and yep, he's actually got an aspiring champion added to his squad as well, and he's actually going for heavy bolters, so not bad at all. This actually, that Chaos Space Marine squad might be, yeah, okay, it's a good thing we're getting a second one, because they might be a bit tricky to deflect the Space Marines advance with just a single squad of Chaos Space Marines, especially when you get Ekim sending in a couple of scout marines to just get them into melee, so just to do a bit of disruption. So it certainly wouldn't be good for the scout marines themselves, but it's actually pretty good for the rest of the forces being used there. And yeah, Ekim finally being forced to retreat his forces, and if the Chaos Space Marine commander is not careful enough, he might actually get his points decapped as well, which is exactly what's happening. So pretty good decap by the scout marines again, should I say. Yeah, pretty good frag grenade toss by one of the Chaos Space Marine squads, able to paralyze the squad. And I think, yep, actually, not entirely sure if they managed to take down an entire squad. In either case, as you can see, they managed to take down quite a few Space Marines with that single grenade toss, and of course the subsequent fire as well. So yeah, my haven't commentated in a bit of a while, so it might just be a little bit rusty, but well, what can you do? Might as well cut my teeth, so to speak, on this sort of longish commentary, just to get myself back into the groove, so to speak. Although chances are, yeah, this will probably be the only commentary for the night. Although, yeah, I might have more commentaries coming out tomorrow night, or possibly even tonight. It depends on how we go with time. Although, as you can see, this commentary is going to take a bit of time. Man, I certainly mentioned that word quite a few times. And yeah, so he's seeing pretty good harassment by the Space Marine player. He's been sending his scout squads just about all over the map, just capturing the outlying points of the Chaos Space Marine player. And from what I can see, neither player is going for tier 2 yet. Space Marine players are starting to get some Salt Marines to help counter the heavy weapon equipped Chaos Space Marines here as well. And yeah, both commanders have got relatively little health, so it's going to be pretty significant if either one of them goes down, especially given that both of them have been upgraded with plasma pistols, which is a pretty big boon to their range damage. And there you go, it looks like the Assault Space Marines have come out, and we'll just see how effective they're going to be used. They're being sent ahead right to the back of the group of Chaos Space Marines, and that's actually a pretty good thing to do, because usually they're going to be running backwards, and yeah, it's no point. Well, no point having your guys being deployed in a forward position. At the same time, though, got a Cultist squad with, interesting enough, an Aspiring Champion added to do a bit of disruption damage with their grenades. And at the same time, though, yeah, it looks like this Space Marine squad has actually been upgraded with, or but rather both have been upgraded with Flamers. So doing a pretty good job of demoralizing the Chaos Space Marines, actually. The Cultist managing to do a bit of disruption at the same time, though, but as you can see, the Chaos Space Marine player is certainly on the defensive, although the Space Marine player, what the hell was his name again? Ekim, would certainly want to deal with those cultists eventually as well. And in fact, we just check. Yep, looks like the Chaos Lord has actually been killed off, and it looks like Chaos Space Marine player is actually floating quite a few resources as well. So he's going to tier 2 finally, and he's rebuilding his Chaos Lord at the same time at the Space Marine player base. Ekim, he's not going to tier 2 yet, so it looks like he's just been focusing mostly on troops and troop upgrades as well. As for the Chaos Space Marine player, he's actually going to have to go to tier 2, I'm pretty sure, to get the same sort of troop upgrades like health and all that that you would get with Space Marines. However, it looks like after this upgrade's finished, yeah, the Space player Ekim is going to have to go to tier 2 as well to get more advanced upgrades. But at the same time, though, he does have a bit of advantage when it comes to just the general troops at the moment, and the fact that his force commander is still alive. But Chaos Lord was certainly coming out for the Chaos Space player, and yeah, we finally got Ekim going to tier 2. Yeah, we'll just see if he's doing anything else in particular. Looks like, yeah, he's only left one squad with one Flamer, so yeah, he's certainly going to be transitioning away from that. Strange enough, sending a Scout Marine squad first. So maybe he was hoping that a grenade throw would be wasted on them rather than on the rather more important Space Marine squad. But strange enough, they actually managed to weather the storm and yeah, managed to get the other Space Marines to come up and yeah, do a bit of damage with those frag grenades as well. But here we go, Chaos Lord has finally come back into the picture, and yeah, he's actually joined his Chaos Space Marine squad. Getting demoralized at the same time. Looks like he's actually at tier 2 though, so we'll just be seeing if he's going to be going for vehicles or for more of an elite unit build. As for the Space Marine Commander, still at tier 2, building more power plants, or plasma generators, which means he'll most likely be going for a more vehicle-oriented strategy, while the Chaos Space Marines, given the fact that they have one less plasma generator, will most likely, and loads of loads of requisition resource saved up, they'll most likely be going for more of a troop-heavy build, but what do you know? In an attempt to defy my commentary, looks like the Chaos Space Marine player Triple X is actually, or should we call him Oxy maybe? Yeah, we'll just call him Oxy. Oxy is going for a vehicle plant instead, and then going for a plasma generator, so interesting build there. Looks like Space Marine player has finally gone to tier 2 and hasn't created a tier 2 building just yet though, so as you can see he's doing a pretty good job in harassing the outlying critical locations, and that will be especially important given that's the victory condition for critical locations and strategic locations has been enabled. So if a player controls the majority, then yeah, they win after a certain amount of time, just like that. So Chaos Space Marine player was just a little bit off of his timing. The Chaos Sorcerer did do a bit of damage to the rear part of that squad, but he, well, not bad, he actually missed them by a bit, as you can see. So that was most likely attributed to the player's timing and also the lag as well. And just having a look, so yeah, looks like they're going to be going for heavy bolters for one squad and missile launchers for the other. So pretty good anticipation by the Space Marine player, given that's the Chaos Space Marine player, or just Chaos player. Chaos player Oxy will be going for vehicles, but at the same time though, it looks like the looks like Akim's actually got his own machine cult in a forward position, and no sacred artifact yet, though, so it looks like we might be seeing a bit more of a vehicle-oriented build, and there you go, that confirms we've got a Land Speeder Tempest coming out. Most likely going to get upgraded with crack missiles to help destroy any vehicles and buildings that the Space Marine player might encounter. And also Chaos Rhino. As you can see, it's just a more chaotic Rhino for the Chaos Space Marine player to complement the Space Marines Rhino as well. And unfortunately, yeah, that guy didn't quite make it. In fact, well, actually, I think they managed to destroy an entire squad with some pretty well-timed grenades, actually. Yeah, just having a look. So, yeah, another Space Marine squad coming out. Just see what first vehicle the Chaos player is going for. So he's going for a Defiler. So it's a pretty good support vehicle. It's actually a pretty versatile walker. It can you can shoot like an artillery piece. It's got some nice short-ranged weapons, and yeah, it's got a pretty nice melee attack, sort of like the Space Marine Dreadnought. So it's not quite as good as specialists, of course, but still not too bad. And yeah, Space Marine player doing a pretty good job aiming for the Chaos Rhino. So he, as you can see, he's just cut off the mobility for the Chaos Space Marines, which most likely means they'll have to stay back and fight, given that this Rhino transport for the Space Marine player is still alive. But if Akim's not careful, his Land Speeder is about to get blown up, and it does. So a bit of a small cost though, given that that's pretty good. Given that the Chaos player is basically being forced to sit back, because otherwise, if he tries running, his forces are just going to get routed by their own transport. And we've got a Hellfire Dreadnought being brought out, so an interesting choice. You don't see them too often, but they're actually a pretty useful vehicle to have around. So as you can see, they do a nice sort of Gatling gun doing some damage then. They also have a missile launch that does pretty good disruption damage. At the same time though, Force Commander's been killed off. We do have the Chaplain being created though, so he'll be able to help out these squads a bit. And here we go, they've got the Defiler actually doing a bit of damage to this listening post. And another Land Speeder, Tempest being built actually. And yeah, this one being upgraded to crack missiles, so pretty good defense by the Space Marine players so far. So we have had a listening post go down, but we haven't had any points being decapped though, although this relic might. And that's like a hit decaps probably. So yeah, it's a pretty good effort by the Space Marine player indeed. So the Chaos player, he certainly should have retreated his Defiler maybe after destroying that listening post, or possibly just left the Defiler on range start so they could do a bit of disruption damage to the Space Marine player. As you can see, they've got out the Horror Squad, which means that they would have a Sacrificial Circle somewhere as well. And they have a second Horror Squad on the way, so not bad at all. So yeah, the Chaos player might have actually been better off getting a Hell Talon beforehand to help in destroying these Land Speeder Tempests and the Space Marines vehicles as well. Is it going to be able to kill off the Land Speeder Tempest? Just barely manages to do that, but gets destroyed on its own. Because yeah, the problem is the Chaos Space Marine player and their Space Marines, they do not actually get any anti-vehicle weapons, unlike these Space Marines, who, as you can see, got a mixture of heavy bolters and missile turrets. So yeah, Hell Talon might have been a bit of a better opportunity, especially given that they actually have pretty good health for a flying unit. But yeah, unfortunately they decided just to go for more troops, and yeah, they got routed, as you can see. They're actually going for tier 3 at the moment, while the Space Marine player is not going for tier 3 just yet. It looks like he's decided to stay in tier 2 for a bit longer and yeah, just build up his army a bit, which would not be such a bad idea given that he's managed to successfully fend off this Chaos attack. Although he probably should be attacking the Chaos Space Marine player, his base actually, given they managed to just take out a pretty significant chunk of their forces actually. And yeah, they might actually be doing that, as you can see. So Land Speeder taking a few hits by the Hell Talon. Hell Talon deciding to retreat. I reckon he could have stayed a bit longer to destroy that Land Speeder, because now Land Speeder is going to probably fly back and get repaired, or maybe he's going to... Land Speeder Tempest is going to fly back and get repaired, I should say. But it looks like that might not be the case, actually. Instead, Ekip is going to send him forward, and yeah. Not really going to attack with it though, for whatever reason. So yeah, now the Chaos Space Marine player is actually on the back foot. So what will Oxy do to prevent this though? I'll have to see what happens. So he's still waiting for his tier 3 upgrade. Given that he's got the Sacrificial Circle, well, it's up for the moment. He's most likely planning to go for the elite tier 3 troops as soon as possible. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen given that his Sacrificial Circle is about to go down. And looks like we've got a Scout Marine squad probably trying to do some harass there, though it might be better to get them to decapture this point as well, while the Space Marine player has the upper hand at the moment. And got the Sorcerer just hanging out in the back, they're not really doing much. Watching his base getting torn apart slowly. What do you know? So yeah, they're actually dedicating a whole Space Marine squad, including a chaplain, to destroy, to decap that point. So not most efficient use of his troops, but what can you do? And it looks like he's still staying in tier 2. He looks like he's going to be exploring all aspects of the tier 2 units that are available to him. As you can see, he's getting a Grey Knight squad to help out as well. Well, actually, it's not such a bad choice really, especially against Chaos players, because Chaos can get those demonic units, and yeah, Grey Knights will just eat them up just about. Yeah, unfortunately the elite troops for Chaos, which would be the whatever they're called, the Obliterators, sorry, and the Possessed squad, they have a heavy high infantry armor, so unfortunately yeah, they wouldn't take that ridiculously high anti-demon damage that the Grey Knights will do. But in either case, they've been brought out just in case if demonic units are brought against them. In either case, they'll certainly serve as a pretty good melee shield, I suppose one could say, against possessed Chaos Space Marines. Although as you can see, frag grenades also serve a pretty good deterrent as well, actually managing to kill off quite a few by stunning them, and yeah, in fact, if he's not careful, he's got to be killed off, and down he goes, unfortunately. And as you can see, I think that was the contaminate ability or biotoxin bomb being used by the Hell Talon there, which basically spreads, does a little bit of damage over time to the infantry units basically, and I think to commander units as well actually. And what do you know, Grey Knight's actually chasing after the Obliterators. So given that they're going to be probably extensively used, might be better off for the Space Marine player also to get the charge ability for them as well, just so that they can actually charge into troops like these and do a bit of initial knockback damage. Well, knockback and damage as well. So as you can see, they're being forced to chase these Obliterators around. Just see if I can find where that's happening. There we go. So we got the Demonic Prince. As you can see, he's got demonic armor, so as soon as the Grey Knights focus their attentions on him, they'll be able to take him down pretty quickly, actually. So Ox is definitely going to have to be very careful with how he uses the Demon Prince, but at the same time, he does have a Defiler coming out to be able to help thin out the numbers of the Grey Knights. And yeah, there's only a couple of them remaining, but even a couple, as you can see, certainly helps do a bit of damage to him. Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah, Grey Knights being forced to retreat. Oh, sorry, they actually got killed. The Space Marines being forced to retreat. And Hellfire Dreadnought seems to be a bit caught there. Doesn't seem to be quite sure of where to actually go. So, pretty good mobility advantage that's been bestowed by the Space Marine player at the moment. For some reason, the actually, and then again, Chaos Space Marine player is actually using elite troops, who I'm pretty sure can't fit into the transport, so that's why he hasn't bothered to get his own transports yet. And there we go, second Grey Knight squad being sent out, and Librarian being sent out as well. So, yeah, the commander units for the Space Marines are actually pretty good anti-demonic units, among other things. So, if you can get the Librarian, and I'm pretty sure the Chaplain's still in there. You can get them into melee with the Demon Prince, who should be able to take them down relatively quickly. And as you can see, I've got a couple of regular Dreadnoughts actually, to help do a bit of damage to the Demon Prince as well. And Grey Knights as well. Just to help seal the deal, so to speak. Doing a pretty good job against his Obliterators. Managing to catch him out of position. So, yeah, that's just the beauty of using such mobile troops as Space Marines in Arana, which has unfortunately just been destroyed. Is that, yeah, you can strike at weak points in the enemy's army, well, relatively easily, actually. And yeah, as you can see, the biotoxin bomb has actually been used, and yeah, Obliterators do have their own teleport, as you can see. But the problem is, it still does take them a bit of a while to teleport, and they do have a recharge time that teleport as well. Unlike the transport, which can instantly transport troops in and out of it, which is kind of ridiculous, really, when you realise that these are actually power armor troops, which yeah, can all exit and re-enter the transport at a moment's notice, which is, yeah, well, a bit unrealistic, but there you go. And the fact that we still have melee combat in the 41st millennium, one could say, is a bit unrealistic as well, but given the strength of armor, it's, I suppose, somewhat plausible, maybe. And yeah, especially when you look at various melee troops in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, yeah, you can certainly see they would usually be pretty durable, actually, so they can take that ranged fire, and some of them can even teleport or jump to the enemy's position. So it does make it somewhat feasible that you should have melee combat. Well, just adds a bit more flavour to the game, I suppose. Yeah, so yeah, Space Marine player doing a pretty good job in fending off the Chaos Space Marine players' attack, and yes, they've still got quite a few forces remaining. The Chaos player Oxy is certainly not down for the count yet, though. Just check their resources. So 109.77 for the Space Marine player, 92.47 for the Chaos player. So Chaos player will certainly want to be building up his economy a bit, and yeah, he might not get the opportunity to do that, though. Given the army advantage that that Ekim has at the moment. Although if we can delay the advance of Ekim long enough, we might be able to see a bit of a comeback by the Chaos Space Marine player, but it's going to be a bit of a stretch, given the massive army that's facing. So a pretty good job at sniping off that Dreadnought and Land Speeder Tempest as well. So those units certainly could have been repaired by the Space Marine player. They're going to have to be rebuilt instead. And yeah, in fact, if we look at the current resources for the Space Marine player, it's actually got a massive influx of plasma, and so he'll most likely be wanting to go to, if he's not at tier 3 already, I didn't actually notice, he might still be at tier 2, to get those upgrades, resource upgrades for his, there you go. So he's actually at tier 3. So yeah, to get these resource upgrades for his requisition resource, because he's certainly running low on that at the moment. But as you can see though, his vehicle choices haven't been too bad. Certainly going for the right vehicles at the right time, just about. The only thing he really could be making instead of a Predator is maybe a quick Rhino, just so he can transport his troops that much more quickly. As you can see, Assault Space Marines are doing a pretty good job when it comes to their mobility. Yeah, there we go, we've got a Predator out instead, so we're doing quite a bit of range damage instead. So Space Marine player, as you can see, has not gone to tier 4 just yet, and Chaos Space Marine player still seems to be in tier 3, so there you go. Not entirely sure what the Sorcerer is thinking going into combat against all these troops on his own, but as you can see, met a rather bloody end there. And yeah, there we go, we got a... Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, never mind. Thought there might have been a Rhino coming out, but apparently not. So Predators are doing a pretty good job bringing up the frontal assault and yeah, just acting as a bit of a shield for other troops to jump in. Unfortunately though, the other Space Marine forces still only just now coming to the battlefield, so that's one of the problems when you don't have as much mobility there. Well, the Chaos Space Marine player, yeah, he's not doing too badly. He's keeping his Defilers on range stance, although he'd certainly want to be repairing that one, given how expensive they are. And yeah, his use of elite troops isn't too bad either. Although the problem with these elite troops, of course, is that they're in pretty limited numbers, and abilities such as the Chaplain's Demoralizing Shout, as you can see, can do damage to the, or rather, have effects on the entire squad. So you might have a single big squad of possessed Chaos Space Marines, but not when you use frag, basically squad affecting abilities like frag grenades and all that on them, you can basically affect all of them at once, which is pretty significant. And as you can see, yeah, they were taken care of relatively easily. They managed to do a little bit of damage, stall the Space Marine player a little bit, while they get attacked by ranged, well, by the ranged forces, I suppose. But as you can see, they got completely torn up. And yeah, as you can see, a relatively full squad of possessed Chaos Space Marines, so it costs quite a bit, unfortunately. So just have a look. So looks like he's going for more Dreadnoughts, pretty regular stuff. He managed to get the Orbital Command out. He's going to research personal teleporters, which means, yeah, there we go. We've got some elite troops finally coming out. Or I suppose Terminator troops, really, because Grey Knights are pretty elite on their own. But anyway, we've got Terminators, and I don't see any Assault Terminators coming out just yet for the Space Marines, so they'll be able to do a bit of range damage as well with those good old auto cannons. So yeah, Chaos player unfortunately being forced to withdraw his troops, and yeah, it's actually got a possessed Chaos Space Marines out already, and yeah, pretty good use of the Chains of Torment ability by the Chaos Sorcerer. Unfortunately didn't seem to take effect for too long though, so these Assault Space Marines were able to jump out and they've just been killed off as well. Chaos Sorcerer, I think he was trying to cast the Doom Bolt spell there, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out. And as these Assault Space Marines, I don't think they've been upgraded with Melter Bombs. I haven't seen them used at all, but I guess that anti-vehicle ability isn't quite necessary, especially given that they're about to die, but also the all the other anti-vehicle and anti-building means that the Space Marine player has. Those Obliterators, unfortunately, probably not last too long, but they're doing not such a bad job actually delaying the Space Marine player, although as you can see, he actually did use the Word of the Emperor ability from this Librarian, able to prevent a couple of Space Marines from dying, well, until the ability wore off, as you can see. Surprisingly, these Obliterators are still alive, which is quite amazing actually, although this, okay, looks like the Force Command actually cancelled his Orbital Bombardment ability, and then he decided to reactivate it, so looks like it was focused around the machine, or rather in between the Machine Pit and the Desecrated Strongholds. And there, it's doing quite a bit of damage. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks like it's curtains, so to speak, for the Chaos Space Marine player. So I'm not entirely sure what was the point of teleporting that Terminator squad that close to the Chaos Space Marine forces. Maybe he was hoping to take out the Obliterators, but as you can see, now they're in melee damage of this Defiler. Well, it looks like they'll be teleporting out of the way though, and I think they managed to save, barely save a few Terminators there. But as you can see, one of the Defilers has already gone down there to try to take a few out, but unfortunately he got killed off there. But at the same time though, possessed Chaos Space Marines are actually providing some pretty big problems for this contingent of Space Marines and their commanders, you can see. But with the demoralizing shout ability being used, they'll be able to delay them a bit though. But strangely enough, we might actually see the bit of a turnaround when it comes to the Chaos Space Marines forces being able to attack the, or rather to engage the Space Marines, which was quite amazing actually. And it looks like, yeah, a couple of frag grenades being used there, just to stall the Chaos possessed, or should I say possessed Chaos Space Marines there. Although without any support though, they most likely won't be able to do much except delay the Space Marine player. Just have a look. Yeah, Chaos Space Marine player still has an overall resource disadvantage, as you can see, by being able to kill off that Defiler there. So when this possessed Chaos Space Marine squad gets killed off, there won't be too much to stop the Space Marine player from just getting back into the Chaos Space Marine player's base. Interesting having a las cannon ability on the Dreadnought. You don't usually see, because that removes one of the arms it uses for melee, as you can see. So it roughly halves its damage, and yeah, twiddling las cannon, not such a bad idea, but we already have other units, should I say, that can be used for anti-vehicle use instead. And as you can see, Space Marine player is again floating quite a few plasma resources, and yeah, I'm not seeing too much doing there. Okay, so yeah, it's a pretty smart idea, actually bringing a couple of servitors to repair the Predator tank. So that's certainly useful to have for heavy vehicles like Predators, and yeah, for super heavy vehicles as well, such as the Baneblade for the Imperial Guard, and of course the Land Raider for the Space Marine player. As for the Chaos Space Marine player Ox, we haven't seen too much of a variation in their tactics. In fact, we haven't actually seen any standard troops being deployed. He is certainly putting up a hell of a fight for the Space Marine player Ekim, but the problem is Ekim has been able to destroy quite a bit of infrastructure compared to what the Chaos Space Marine player has been able to do when they were in each other's respective bases. And yeah, especially with the Chaos Space Marine player not having as many, as much requisition and power coming in as the Space Marine player, it's going to be a bit tricky to keep up with these relentless assaults. As you can see, the only thing that's really got remaining is the Hell Talon, Obliterators, and Defiler, single Defiler, just for good luck. Although as you can see, it's actually managed to capture a majority of the critical locations, but I don't think that's going to matter too much, given that his base is getting slowly torn apart. But if he can manage to delay the Space Marine player Ekim, if he manages to delay his advance long enough, and if Ekim is careless enough, he might actually be, the Chaos Space Marine player might be able to win the game. But that's most likely not going to happen, as you can see. But we have an interesting flanking maneuver by these Chaos Sorcerer and the possessed Chaos Space Marines trying to attack the rear there. So yeah, it looks like the Ekim is actually in tier 4 at the moment, so he's able to upgrade one of his, or rather his main turrets on the Predator to a twinning Lascan. So unfortunately, it looks like this flanking movement by the possessed Chaos Space Marines didn't do that much damage actually, because they were slowed, and I'm pretty sure they're actually paralysed temporarily or stunned by the frag grenades being used by that Space Marine squad. So time is still counting down for Oxy though, but all it'll take for Ekim to recover is just to send in a regular Scout Marine squad, and he'll be able to decap those critical locations without too much of a fuss. Just have a look what buildings we have remaining. Here we are. So we've got the Demon Pit and the Sacrificial Circle remaining for the Chaos Space players. So 4 minutes though. If he can maybe just station a couple of, well, maybe I wasn't thinking of stationing his elite troops there, but that's the critical locations. But if he can delay the Space Marine player long enough, then he might just have an opportunity to win. I'll just check to see if he has any builder units, and yeah, he does have one. So if he can build maybe a headquarters, Chaos headquarters building, maybe near one of these critical locations, and of course provided that he keeps these critical locations, he's actually managed to capture the third one in the middle there, might just be able to pull a win. But the problem is, if you look at the forces for Ekim here, he can just about afford to divide up his forces really and engage these troops separately, and to decap those critical locations. And we've got the builder units here, so chances are, okay, afford space. So the Chaos player can't actually afford headquarters building just yet. Well, as you can see, Ekim does seem to be delaying his assault there for whatever reason, so buying precious time for the Chaos players, you can see. And these Assault Space Marines, as you can see, instead of decapturing this critical location, instead chasing around these Obliterators, who can certainly afford to run them around for a bit of time. Not entirely sure what he's thinking with these possessed Chaos Space Marines. He's deciding to run them around. Well, actually, he might be able to get by with just defending 2 points though. Ekim's saying good game, and by the looks of though here he will be able to destroy the remainder of Oxy Space before he wins. As you can see, that was indeed the case. So certainly an interesting back and forth game between Chaos Space Marines and regular Space Marines, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out for Oxy. So there you go. You certainly could have switched things up a bit, especially towards the late game, and he certainly sacrificed his commander units and vehicles a bit more often than the Space Marine player Ekim did. But there you go. So I'll be uploading this game possibly with another one. See what happens. So until that happens, this has been Damien Davidovich signing off.